Taxi principle. Find out the cost before you get in. Taylor's law of tailoring. No matter how many alterations, cheap pants never fit. Telesco's first law of nursing. All the IVs are at the other end of the hall. Telesco's second law of nursing. There are two kinds of adhesive tape, the one that won't stay on and the one that won't come off. Tenenbaum's law of replicability. The most interesting results happen only once. Terman's law. There is no direct relationship between the quality of an educational program and its cost. Terman's law of innovation. If you want a track team to win the high jump, you find one person who can jump 7 feet, not 7 people who can jump 1 foot. Tesla calls deviant to Fudd's law. It goes in. It must come out. Fowl's law. For every vision, there is an equal and opposite revision. The enough already law. The more you run over a dead cat, the flatter it gets. The Billings phenomenon. The conclusions of most good operations research studies are obvious. The bureaucracy principle. Only a bureaucracy can fight a bureaucracy. The dialectics of progress. Direct action produces direct reaction. The fifth rule. You have taken yourself too seriously. The first discovery of Christmas afternoon. Give a kid a new toy. Dad will play with the toy. The kid will play with the box it came in. The first discovery of Christmas morning. Batteries not included. The first myth of management. It exists. The golden rule of arts and sciences. Whoever has the gold makes the rules. The Ike tautology. Things are more like they are now than they have ever been before. Corollary. Nostalgia isn't what it used to be. The Kennedy constant. Don't get mad, get even. The last one's law of program generators. A program generator creates programs that are more buggy than the program generator. The Murphy philosophy. Smile. Tomorrow will be worse. The obvious law. Actually, it only seems as though you mustn't be deceived by appearances. The ordering principle. The supplies necessary for yesterday's work must be ordered no later than noon tomorrow. The Pollyanna paradox. Every day, in every way, things get better and better, then worse again in the evening. The principle. Concerning multifunctional devices. The fewer functions any device is required to perform, the more perfectly it can perform those functions. The queue principle. The longer you wait in line, the greater the likelihood that you are standing in the wrong line. The Roman rule. The one who says it cannot be done should never interrupt the one who is doing. The ruler rule. There is no such thing as a straight line. Theory of selective supervision. The one time during the day you lean back and relax is the one time the boss walks by. Thiesen's law of gastronomy. The hardness of the butter is in direct proportion to the softness of the roll. Thine's law, nature abhors people. Thinking man's tautology. If you think you're wrong, you're wrong. Corollary. If you think you're wrong, you're right. Third law for freelance artists. The rush job you spent all night on won't be needed for at least 2 days. Third law of applied terror. 80% of the final exam will be based on the one lecture you missed about the one book you didn't read. Third law of committodynamics. Those most opposed to serving on committees are made chairman. Third law of holes. If a subordinate digs a hole, never expect the boss to jump in with him. Third law of kitchen confusion. You are always complimented on the item which took the least effort to prepare. Example, if you make duck à l'orange, you will be complimented on the baked potato. Third law of office morphology. Machines that have broken down will work perfectly when the repairman arrives. Third law of photography. The best shots will be ruined when someone inadvertently opens the darkroom door. Third principle. For patience, only adults have difficulty with childproof bottler. Third workshop principle. Leftover nuts never match leftover bolts. Thomas's law. The one who least wants to play is the one who will win. Thompson's first law of political science. If a liberal takes an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, it's a safe bet that he will lie about everything else. Thomson's law of lineage: you never have to ask if someone is Scottish. If they are, they'll find a way of letting you know, and if they're not, there's no sense embarrassing them by making them admit it. Tom's law of marital bliss: the length of the marriage is inversely proportional to the cost of the wedding. Thoreau's law: if you see a man approaching with the obvious intent of doing you good, run for your life. Thoreau's rule: any fool can make a rule, and every fool will mind it. Thoreau's theories of adaptation: after months of training and you finally understand all of a program's commands, a revised version of the program arrives with an all-new command structure. After designing a useful routine that gets around a familiar bug in the system is revised, the bug is taken away, and you're left with a useless routine. Efforts in improving a program's user-friendliness invariably lead to work in improving users' computer literacy. That's not a bug, that's a feature. Thumb's second postulate: an easily understood, workable falsehood is more useful than a complex, incomprehensible truth. Thurber's conclusion: there is no safety in numbers or in anything else. Thwart's theorem of low profile: negative expectation thwarts realization, and self-congratulation guarantees disaster. Or simply put, if you think of it, it won't happen quite that way. Tillinger's rule: moderation in all things, including moderation. Tillis's organizational principle: if you file it, you'll know where it is, but never need it. If you don't file it, you'll need it, but never know where it is. Tipper's law: those who expect the biggest tips provide the worst service. Titanic coincidence: most accidents in well-designed systems involve two or more events of low probability occurring in the worst possible combination. Todd's first law: all things being equal, you lose. Corollary: all things being in your favor, you still lose. Todd's first two political principles: 1. No matter what they're telling you, they're not telling you the whole truth. 2. No matter what they're talking about money. Torquemada's law: when you are sure you're right, you have a moral duty to impose your will upon anyone who disagrees with you. Tracy's time observation: good times end too quickly. Bad times go on forever. Transcription's square law: the number of errors made is equal to the sum of the squares employed. Travel axiom: he travels fastest who travels alone, but he hasn't anything to do when he gets there. Trishman's paradox: axiom of the pipe: a pipe gives a wise man time to think and a fool something to stick in his mouth. Troutman's programming postulate #1: job control cards that positively cannot be arranged in improper order will be. Troutman's programming postulate #2: profanity is the one language all programmers know best. Troutman's sixth programming postulate: profanity is the one language all programmers know best. Truman's law: if you cannot convince them, confuse them. Tushill's first law of reality: industry always moves in to fill an economic vacuum. Tupper's political postulate: he who walks astride the fence has few directions from which to choose. Turnaukus's observation: to err is human. To really foul things up takes a computer. Turner's law: nearly all prophecies made in public are wrong. Tussman's law: nothing is as inevitable as a mistake whose time has come. Twain's rule: only kings, editors, and people with tapeworm have the right to use the editorial "we." Tilchak's probability postulate: random events tend to occur in groups. Tilk's law: assumption is the mother of all foul-ups.